everyone, it's Celeste and welcome to my booktube channel. Today I want to talk about all the books that I read in the month of February for 2019. Okay, so the first thing that I finished, and I'm going in order by the things that I read and finished. The first thing that I read was on my Kindle, and it was a poetry book, There is Beauty in the Bleeding by Christina Hart, and I gave it 3 stars. It's a bit of the modern contemplative poetry that you see. I liked it better than most of the poetry that I've read that comes like that, but I didn't love it. So I gave it 3 stars. So pretty good. The next thing that I read was another book of poetry on my Kindle, and it was The Black Book of Poems by Vincent Hunani, I think is how you pronounce his name, and I gave it 2 stars. It was pretentious, which was funny because there was a blurb at the beginning that talked about not wanting to be pretentious, and then the poems were. They were very rhymey and sing-songy, and I didn't feel them. So I gave them 2 stars because they weren't terrible. They just weren't up to what I thought they needed to be. The next thing that I read was, so far the biggest book that I've read this year, and let me hold this up. Hello. Is My Lady Jane by, who is it? Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. And it's kind of a chonker. I gave it 3 stars. It was pretty entertaining. It kept me reading, but it wasn't like the best thing that I've ever read. So, you know, I enjoyed it. And I plan on reading My Plain Jane sometime soon because I got it in an Owl Crate a while back and I'm on a mission to read more of my Owl Crate books. Okie doke. The next thing that I read was the first volume of, here let me step to the side, of Low, and it's by, who is it by? Reminder and Tocini. I didn't see their first names on there. And it's about the earth has gotten really polluted and everybody has had to adapt to living in the ocean, and the sun is expanding and causing a lot of trouble, and they're looking for this inhabitable planet that they can move to, and some people believe it's there and some people don't, and at the heart of it there's a family and the struggles that the family has to go through, and it's pretty dark, but the images in it, you can tell kind of from the cover, it's really beautiful graphics, but it's also really graphic. It's not for like younger people. Like, one complaint that I could get for it is that the ladies are all wearing like super sexy things. I gave it 2 stars just because it's hard to follow the storyline. It just throws you right on in it. The next thing I read was Runaways, Volume 1, and this is where it picks up with Rainbow Rowell and Chris Anka. And this is a Marvel one. And I gave it 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. I wasn't familiar with it, so it took me a little bit to get into it, but once I got into it, I really enjoyed it. The characters are great. Rainbow Rowell's writing in it is great, and the art is really fantastic. I enjoyed it. The next thing I finished was Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. I felt like this is the time of year that I needed to read a book like this. So here we go. I went ahead and read it. And I enjoy Shonda Rhimes' TV shows. She writes for shows, creator of shows like Grey's Anatomy and Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. I gave it 3 stars. It was a little rambly in places, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. Carried it around with me. The next book that I finished was my audiobook for the month. And it was Skeleton Crew by Stephen King. It's a collection of short stories. I gave it 3 stars. Some of the short stories were really good. Some of the short stories I couldn't wait for them to be finished with. There was a real wide variety, like thrillery type, sort of sci-fi type. I don't know if I would say fantasy, a little bit of horror. It was kind of like a shotgun effect of like short stories. And so I liked it, but I didn't love it. But it was the audiobook of the month for me because it was like 22 hours long. the next book that I finished was a book that I've been working on since September. It's a shorty too. It is This Census Taker by China Miéville. I got this from Dollar Tree, so I only spent $1 on it, thank goodness. It is a piece of what you would call like weird fiction, is the genre that I saw on Goodreads for it. And I gave it 1 star, 1 whole star. It was so confusing, like it would change in the narration from like first person and third person, a little bit of like mixed in, like within paragraphs of each other. There was no like real exposition, like there was like discussion and description, but it didn't make sense, and it was from this child's perspective, and so it was really hard to piece together what was going on, and it took me forever to read it because I just wasn't really interested, but I was like, I'm not going to DNF this, it's so short, so I finally finished it. The last book that I read for the month of February was a Kindle book called 50/50 by Kelsey Ray, and it was a little contemporary romance novella about this guy who inherits a building property from his grandpa, and come to find out it's been deeded to him and this like adoptive granddaughter, and they have to decide what to do with the property together, and it's sort of one of those hate to love romance stories, and it was pretty entertaining. I gave it 3 stars. So altogether I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3-star books, 1 4-star book, 1, 2 2-star books, and 1 1-star book. So if you average those together, it's not good. Like I didn't have any 5-star reads in February. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that March is going to be a much better month for me. So that's all the books that I've read in the month of February for 2019. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books, or if you have any suggestions for other books to read for the month of March. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.